first thing I do is, pay off my debts, just to give me peace of mind, but that wouldn't take too terribly much of the $15 million. You'd be happy to know.
Half.
About half, yeah. I'm highly leveraged.
Banker.
Welcome to The Leadership, a business-focused talk show brought to you by the Vested Group.
We talk to entrepreneurs, employees, thought leaders, innovators, dreamers, disruptors,
and even our own children about what makes us tick on and off the clock.
Welcome to this edition of the Leadership Talk Show, brought to you by the Vested Group. You can find out more about us at thevested.com. I am Hillary Patterson, and I'm here with my lovely co-host, Johnny Zielinski.
Thank you.
And we have the good fortune of being able to interview John Keel today, who I will say is one of the bigger characters at the company.
Well, thank you. Let's take that as a compliment.
Yeah, no, that's how it's intended. Absolutely. there should be a lot of information in this interview, I would think. But let's start at the beginning, or kind of the beginning. How did you end up at TVG?
So I worked for Dell Services for about 3 years building a NetSuite practice. And Ben Alford, who was our NetSuite rep, I was talking to him after basically NTT Data bought Dell Services. And at that point, they shut down their NetSuite practice. So I was looking for something else. I reached out to Ben, and he mentioned the Vested Group among a number of other companies that I was looking into, and I interviewed about 3 years ago, and I've been here ever since.
It's been 3 years?
It's been 3 years.
Oh.
Yeah, I didn't expect to be here 3 years, but it's good company, as we all know, and I've enjoyed the work, and I'm still going strong.
Yes, I remember your interview, and the funny thing was that it was a busy time. There weren't a lot of people there, and
Very much so.
They sent me in, and they were like, "Hey, can you just find out about his accounting knowledge?" As if I was an accountant, and I was like,
That's the depth.
I know, I'm like, okay. And so just ask questions, and you're kind of looking at me like, yeah. And I was like, yeah, I think he knows it. Yeah, because I was like, my questions were a little too simple. Like, yeah, I think it's good.
I know what a debit and a credit is.
Yeah,
is that good enough, Hillary?
Exactly. So have you seen this chart of accounts before?
So your anniversary was January, wasn't it?
Yeah, that's right. I think it was either January 15th or a little later. Mm-hmm.
Gotcha.
So
I remember you
quite
got
recently.
there right before I did.
Yeah.
All right.
Matter of fact, I interviewed you. I don't know if you remember.
No, I do. I was actually, I think we used you and Jennifer, and we got sidetracked talking about graphics cards for building our own gaming PCs.
That's right. And ARC, and MMOs and all of that.
Oh, yeah.
I remember.
You can derail me really easily, just like right now.
Squirrel.
By asking me questions about video games. And it doesn't matter what else we're talking about, I will answer.
Yeah.
So, that being said, tell us about your family, your siblings, anything, any piece of that, and then where did you grow up?
Sure. I grew up in northwest Arkansas in a town called Fort Smith. That's where my formative years were, mainly late junior high and high school. That's where I met all my friends. Now I live in Dallas. I have a wife of 20 plus years, and I have two boys. Fletcher is 13 and Archer is 11. And they're a lot of fun. And I'll tell everyone out there who's thinking about having kids, they just keep getting better. I mean, so far, maybe there's going to be a plateau, but every year, I'm happier and happier that I had kids. And I can't say it was necessarily an easy decision to make at the time, but I certainly am glad I made it now, for sure.
Yeah. Seeing them turn into little people.
You
like them when they're little, but that's kind of like, that's cool to see them grow up and become more,
Oh yeah, like
more
totally
themselves.
functional human
Yeah,
being.
more character and just, what they can do. It is fun.
Yep.
They do all sorts of cool stuff too, right? They play games and do Code Academy and stuff like that.
Yeah, they play video games. They spent quite a few summers at UNT. They have an outreach program there where they have summer camps for everything from JavaScript to Game Maker to Makey to circuits and things like that. They really enjoy that as well. Fletcher plays piano. Archer, I'm going to get him playing guitar. And just because I'm so proud of him, I just want to take this chance to mention that my boy, Fletcher, was recently accepted in classical piano at the Booker T. Washington Music Conservatory here in Dallas.
Congratulations. That is a big deal.
So,
Yeah, that is no
that's
small
good.
feat.
Probably one of the things that I really liked about it was that he decided to do it. We didn't tell him that he had to. And he was way behind. And for 4 months, he practiced 4 times a day, 20 minutes a day. So anywhere between an hour and a half and 3 hours a day for 4 months, and this kid's only 13 years old. And so I was just happy that he had the gumption and the willpower at that age to actually strive for something, right? So even if he hadn't gotten in, I might have been just as happy.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
No, he
I don't know
wanted
about
it.
you, but my youngest plays piano, and she's in there, and she's been doing it for several years now too. So she can play real songs, and it's it's nice to listen to. And I was like, man, I seem like classy, when there's like real piano music going on in the background in your home. You're like, yeah, it's pretty legit.
You're
Especially
moving on up.
Yeah, when you get past just like the scales and like the simple songs, which most people get stuck at, but then you're like, wow, there's like 4 Elise playing in the background. You're like, we're classy.
You mean there's more than hot cross buns?
Well, at some point, yes, occasionally there is.
I actually tried out for Booker T for jazz guitar when I was younger, and I just want to emphasize again, that's
Oh.
not it. I didn't get in. It's a really difficult,
Yeah.
competitive acceptance process. So, congrats again to your
We
kid.
were really proud of him. Thanks.
Yeah, I'm sure
Appreciate
it's gotten only more so over the years too.
Absolutely.
Yep.
All right, so here's our challenge question for all consultants. What would your mom say you do for a living?
That's a good question. My mom and dad, when I try to tell them what I do, regardless of how well I explain it to them, they still don't get it. And honestly, I don't even think they necessarily care. So, basically, if someone asked my dad what I do, he said he's in computers. That's the standard response.
Inside the computer.
Yes.
But when I try to explain it to them, to people who don't really understand fundamentally what we do, I usually just say, look, these companies, they spend a lot of money to buy these software packages that help them run their business. But whenever they buy these software packages, they don't just come out of the box, and you have to figure out what the company does and how they're going to do it and how you're going to tweak that big expensive software package. And the person who helps them figure out how to do that and what to do is me. So
That's a
how
pretty
I
good
explain it.
answer.
Really well said.
Yeah,
Yeah.
actually, I'm impressed with that one.
Yeah.
That is a good one. So, what you would say you do is tweak
Like
the-
if I'm just going to sum it up, like in an elevator conversation,
Yeah.
I usually
or
say,
even to a customer, like if you're going to explain what you do, what do you do?
oh, if I'm talking to a customer or a prospect, I'll tell them my specific role, which is essentially, helping primarily the finance and accounting and supply chain and procure to pay functions, helping map what you do to NetSuite and vice versa. But if it's an elevator conversation, I'll just say I'm an IT consultant. That kind of usually people are like, okay, I know enough now. Bye.
Yeah. Ooh, I got it.
Nerd. That's what I get
I
all
know,
the
5
time.
seconds, and they're like, ooh. And if you can throw an ERP, then they're out. However, whenever
Yeah.
that comes in, even if it's a first word, they're out.
So many people don't know ERP. I usually, unless they're in the industry, I don't even throw it out there.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, you want to see them get really nervous? Just say cloud.
Cloud's more broadly kind of understood in my mind than even ERP, for
Oh,
sure.
for sure. Yeah, these days.
Getting there.
Yeah. I remember when the Vested first started, even it hasn't been that long, but even back then, it was cloud-based, and people were like, oh, because they just didn't trust it, but now it's like, now everybody is familiar with it.
Yeah.
Everything's stored in the cloud, and they're like, oh, okay, but being afraid of like not having their own data was a big deal at the beginning.
I know.
Yeah, especially a lot of, bigger companies, right? For sure.
Well, aside from getting paid, why do you come into work?
I like TVG. I'm not one to talk much about work when I'm with my friends. I'm like, oh man, I just really love my boss or my job or anything like that. But I can say with a straight face that this is probably the only company where I will, with all confidence, say that this is definitely probably the best company I've worked for. They care about their employees. They're willing to give them the tools they need. They work with them. They treat them like family, and it's a lot of fun. And I've worked a lot of different places. I've been working for more than 25 years. I worked for large organizations, small ones, and everything else. And this one definitely has a unique culture, and they're serious about it. And like I said, it's a lot of fun. It's a good group to work with. Even you, Johnny. Even
So
you.
you say you wouldn't talk about how you love your boss. Who is your boss?
Who is my boss
Yeah.
now? Terry Cole.
Oh, okay.
Oh, we got him.
Terry
So
Cole.
we should make a note about that.
It was
Okay.
Matt, but no.
Just kidding.
I like how we always ask everybody. We're like, why do you come to work? They're like, oh, we love the company. I feel like people watch enough of these videos. They're like looking for like a sniper laser.
Right.
Exactly.
And it's true. I mean, you would never hear me say that about any company I've ever worked for. It's usually like, yeah, it's a job, and it pays good bills, a lot of opportunity and all of that. But certainly the lip service I just gave TVG, I've never said about any company I've worked for before.
All right.
And I do happen to particularly enjoy the specific work I've been doing lately, which is kind of data analytics driven for one of our customers, Peloton.
Oh.
And that's a lot of fun too. It's kind of keeping me going.
Yeah, I've seen a lot of cheers for peers go your way lately, I feel like.
Yeah, and boy, I tell you, it was a first. So I had my review with Terry recently, and just at the bottom of his review, he goes, John, you were the #1 person to receive cheers last month. And I
Yeah, I
said,
saw
that's
that.
good.
I said, wow, that's a first. But I was happy to hear that and quite surprised actually too. So.
Yeah, just a testament to what you were saying.
Congratulations. Yeah.
Thanks. Yeah, unbeknownst to me even.
So you probably wanted to be a consultant when you were a kid, but if you could think of another career you were interested in when you were younger, what would it have been?
Oh, I had no desire to be a consultant.
Oh, okay. Dang it.
And when you say kid, if you're talking about like when I was around 10, I got kind of close to doing it, but I always wanted to be an investment banker, like a Wall Street, big time, mergers and acquisitions.
Just a normal kid dream.
Investment
Yeah,
banker. And interestingly enough, I did go to a school that would allow for that, University of Chicago Graduate School of Business, Booth, they call it now. It changed after I went there. But while I was there, I kind of realized that it's certainly lucrative, certainly glamorous in some ways, but working 100 hours a week on spreadsheets was not something that was really
Is it
in
like
the
Wolf of
cards
Wall
for
Street?
me. What's that?
Is it like Wolf of Wall Street?
Well, those guys are more like they sell stocks and bonds and
Right.
things like that. The guys that I wanted to emulate were the guys who, like, for example, if one big billion-dollar company wants to buy another billion-dollar company, they would hire like Goldman Sachs to say, okay, well, how much should I pay for it and how do we structure it? And, what's the valuation and, and all of that fun stuff. So it's not actually that fun, though, I guess is my point. At least
I
I
that's
believe
what I
someone had the
decided.
same childhood dream as me.
Yeah.
That's
yeah.
really crazy. Yeah, I
Yeah.
also wanted to be in acquisitions and mergers. So
Oh yeah, but yeah, it was
pretty
quite a
fascinating.
change for me because when I went to Booth, that's what I was gonna do. It didn't help also that I graduated in 2002, and that was the year where the bubble burst and the stock market crashed, and a lot of those jobs weren't as readily available either. So that might have had something to do with my decision not to go down that investment banking road.
All
But
turned
anyway,
out well.
that's what I wanted
Turns
to
out
do.
well.
a glimpse into the mind.
Yes.
All right. So what's your guess? We just talked about in the beginning. You've been here like 3 years.
Mm-hmm.
What's your favorite workplace tradition so far? I guess we've been out of the office for about a year, but
I know.
any-
COVID. We're pre-COVID.
Yeah.
pre-COVID.
Yeah, I liked the like every year at the start of the baseball season. Joe buys everybody tickets, and we all go to the baseball game together. And I enjoy sports. I want my boys to appreciate them, but I don't enjoy them enough to kind of drag them out as often as I should. So it's always a good excuse to kind of get the boys out there, let them to see the stadium, let them to see why it is that sports are fun and everybody likes them, and plus it's just a lot of fun hanging out with the TVG crew.
Well,
So.
you just used the TVG tickets, right? So they're pretty good this year. All the
They're-
food
I
and
heard
drinks
they're
are
awesome.
included,
Oh,
so
that's
you need
right.
to-
From you sent
Yeah.
something out. Yeah.
I mean, we were still. Joel had gone. Did you go with him that
Well,
time?
we went the first time, but he didn't. He hadn't, I guess, read everything exactly, so we didn't realize that any of that stuff was available at first. And so then we're like listening to people talk behind us, and I was like, they're definitely talking about like benefits. And so he finally looked it up. You were the first one to get to use them.
we were treading unknown water still a little bit. We kind of had what Joel told us, but you could order stuff to your seats, and we weren't. It
I
was
think
so
that's
busy.
awesome.
But they
I
have
know-
like the place you can eat before too.
There's this
like, yeah.
right before you walk to the seats, like literally at the top of the stairs was like this club that free food and drinks, and I mean it was I went with 3 buddies, and they've been texting me like every day since asking when I'm gonna get tickets again. It was a great time.
That's
So,
one of the things that that I dislike the most about going to a live sporting event is I take the time to go, I spend the money to go, and then I end up sitting in line in a concession for like 15 minutes for a concession while I'm missing a game.
Yeah.
And even if it's during halftime or something, I still hate standing in line. So
Yeah.
I'm really excited about the idea
Yeah,
of
and that's
ordering food.
expensive. Like sometimes it's crazy how
Yeah.
expensive stuff is. Yeah.
10 minutes to come to your seat, and honestly, walking up to the club and then getting something to eat and drinks took like, I'm not joking, maybe 2 or 3 minutes.
That's awesome.
So there was
Yeah,
I'm looking
line.
forward
sign
to
up.
it.
Sign up
I will.
when the tickets are out.
That sounds awesome.
Yeah, cool. All right, good tradition. Baseball, I like it.
Yes, that's definitely close to the hearts of some of our. My oldest plays baseball, loves it. So what do you wish that people knew about you outside of work or even inside work, whatever you're...
Well, I don't know that I necessarily wish people knew this about me, but most people find it entertaining. I'm a part owner of a legal medical marijuana grow operation in McAlester, Oklahoma. So as soon as they legalized medical marijuana about 2.5 years ago, a friend of mine reached out to me, and through different channels, we ended up finding a couple of partners and put a deal together, and it's going well. It's not super lucrative yet, but everything's set up and operationally running, and we're hoping to make some profits at some point in the near future.
What is the scale? I mean, it's not outside, so it's probably not acres, right? So
the
big
license
is
is
that?
tied to a property, and the property is owned by one of the partners, and it's big. It's like 7 acres. But our business model is essentially we buy 8-foot by 40-foot cargo containers, like the ones you see on the ships, and essentially we just put them down on his property. We run electricity. We put in insulation. We put in HVAC. And we put in the grow lights, and then we run power from the box, and then we basically grow ideally about 5, maybe 6 crops a year if we can get the rotation down right. So we have 5 of those, and plus we recently changed our business model. We have kind of these larger prefab buildings. They're called Davis buildings, and they're about interestingly enough, they're each 420 square feet apiece. That was not deliberate, but it did kind of tickle me when I did the measurements. But yeah, they're about 420 square feet apiece, but much the same model, but they just come with the electricity built out and the insulation. There's a lot that we don't have to do, and it's a bigger footprint.
it's like a greenhouse. It's like a...
It's just an actual
Thinking
structure. with
completely
the lighting
enclosed
in there,
structure.
yeah.
That's right. It's an indoor grow is what they call it.
That's
Yep.
interesting. And, if you get raided, I guess you could just load them all up and drive off, too. So.
Well, the good news is we don't get raided.
Yes,
It's
theoretically.
funny you should mention that, just anecdotally. When we first, got into the business and we're talking to investors, a lot of the investors, they're really concerned about security. Like, what are you going to do? And, you're going to have a fence around the place, and you're going to have security systems installed. And what I know that they couldn't get their head around is that, if someone comes and robs me, I call the cops. You know what I'm saying? They don't get that. They're like, wait a minute, we can't call the cops. No, yes, you can. It's legal.
So
I
wait,
would call the police.
The state doesn't mandate you have some security to keep people from coming and stealing it, though?
Oh, they absolutely do. Yeah, there are
Yeah.
controls, mandatory
seem
controls
like
in
a-
place. Or are you thinking about maybe driving up there
Well,
and
no,
taking
I'm
some
just
yourself,
thinking that
Hillary?
it seems like something they would want you to secure. Yeah.
Absolutely. So we have cameras that are 24/7. We have an internet connection that basically gives us a live feed. All the doors are locked, and it's on private property.
The Keel cam.
Yeah,
Yep.
exactly.
As a matter of fact, yeah, I can
So you
I can
log
look
in
at my
and look at the
I
cameras?
can. I can control the HVAC from here. I can control the I can look at the relative humidity from within the unit from here. I can look at the cameras all from my cell phone.
How often do you have to travel to it?
Well, I was up there just last weekend. On and off, I try to get up there at least once every month, but realistically, I get up there on the weekends about once every 2 months. Yep.
That's interesting.
There you have it. TVG's very own Pablo Escobar. You'll actually be able to see John. He's featured in season 5 of Narcos.
I was thinking, I don't know about that. But 7 acres, because see, that's a good answer though, because I'm like 700 acres. I mean, you're like
Yeah.
cotton,
Oh, yeah.
right? Those are
1,000 acres. He's out there in his
Yeah.
bathrobe.
Yeah.
So I
In the
guess
middle of a couple
Let me
of-
see. So we have each of them 8 by 40. That's 320 times 5 square feet plus the 2 new ones. Total of 840. So whatever that adds up to, that's about how many square feet of grow space that we have.
And 3. Yep.
A little bit.
All right.
All right. So aside from being a farmer, what do you do? What do you enjoy doing when you're not at work?
Pretty much anything I can do with my boys when I have time. They're definitely even at an age where they still like spending time with me, and they're pretty cool, and I very much enjoy spending time with them. So we do, we play board games. I'm kind of a gaming nerd from back in the day, so we play, Settlers of Catan and all those standard board games, and then we play Pathfinder, which is Dungeons and Dragons, which I grew up on in high school. So they really like it, and it's just awesome spending time with them because I know that before I know it, they're going to be out of the house, and I won't have this opportunity to spend as much time with them. So
Yep.
I would actually say too that's probably one of the reasons that I'm still with TVG was because of really good work-life balance. And, in addition to the fact that I do very much enjoy working for TVG, it gives me the flexibility to spend time with my boys. A lot of jobs I've had in the past require much more than 40 to 45 hours a week, especially when I was in a senior leadership position, and you can be taken away at any time.
Yeah.
And so this gives me the opportunity to do things I want to do while I can do them. So
Awesome.
Have you been home a lot too? I'm sure. If your kids, did they go back to school?
yeah, my kids they were at home for a very long time doing homeschooling. They had a pretty good homeschool experience, if you want to call it homeschooling, virtual learning
Virtual, yeah,
experience
yeah.
compared to a lot of others. But interestingly enough, they were absolutely ready to go back. And it's funny because I don't think I'll ever hear them say, "I don't want to go to school. I wish I could stay at home." They were ready to go back.
Yeah.
There's no doubt.
It is better.
Yeah.
Much better.
Yeah.
So this might be a good one for you too. Set you up here. Put the expectations high.
Sure.
What would you say is one of the funniest thing that's happened to you recently?
Well, I guess you could call it funny. So I got a new car, just a kind of a crossover. It's an MX-30, a Mazda MX-30. Anyway, it'd been about 3 years. As a matter of fact, I got my last new car shortly after I started work at
the car,
TVG.
Yeah, I remember. I was actually just about to bring that up. I was like, you just got one when we met. So
So yeah, and it was a 3-year lease, and it was up right around my 3-year anniversary, so I just leased another one. So I was in McAllister just last weekend, my brand new car, and it started hailing. And so I'm like, oh my goodness, I need to pull over underneath, an awning or some sort of overhang until it passes. So I pull over into what I thought was a perfectly open and normal convenience store, and it's raining so hard you can barely even see the ground. And as it turns out, they were digging these massive ditches that I couldn't see because they were filled with water. So just out of the blue, I'm just kind of driving along trying to figure out where I'm going to go to the awning, and boom, my car falls into just a huge deep ditch, and then I hit the gas and I roll out of it, and I'm like, whew, and I was shaking, and then boom, it happens again, and I roll out of it, and next thing you know, and I wasn't even going very fast. I'm talking maybe 3 to 5 miles an hour, but that fall was hard enough that it busted my left front tire. So my brand new car,
Oh man.
and I bust my left front tire. So I basically just rolled down the road and had to repair my tire, which I hadn't replaced a tire in 25 years, so I'm glad I remembered how to
In
do
a
it.
hailstorm too. So that was.
yeah.
Yeah,
So
extra level.
no wheel damage.
I haven't actually fixed it yet, so I haven't taken too close a look at the wheel. It did not look bent up,
Yeah.
although I would guess my alignment's probably shot.
Sure.
Yeah.
So I'm going to have to get that fixed.
It's a heck of a pothole you hit.
Dude, I know, going 3 miles an hour. It was shocking because it just was out of the blue,
Yeah.
So anyway.
Gosh.
So that's, if you want to call it funny. I thought it was kind of funny.
You can laugh about it now.
In an ironic sort of way.
Okay. Gee whiz. So we finish this interview, and we step outside this office, and you find a lottery ticket for $15 million. What are you doing with that money aside from fixing your car?
Investing in your business. Yeah.
First thing I do is, pay off my debts, just to give me peace of mind, but that wouldn't take too terribly much of the $15 million. You'd be happy to know.
Half.
Yeah.
I'm highly leveraged.
Investment banker.
First thing I do is pay off my debts. Next thing I would do is I would, we talked about this a little before, but I'd hire somebody to do kind of a lot of the things that nobody really likes to do around their house. Basically somebody to come and do the cleaning that never seems to get done, and then some of the stuff that I have to routinely do, like laundry.
Yeah.
That would be the first thing. Second thing, I should say. And then the third thing is I'd plan like a 3-month European vacation with my wife and my 2 boys, and I'd just show them all the cool spots. Anywhere in Europe, probably the big places. London, Paris, maybe some Eastern European locations. Take them to Rome, Spain, and just kind of give them the whirlwind tour in 3 months.
You get a lot
Over
done
the
in 3
summer.
months.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What do
it'd be
you
a
can
lot
hit
of
up
fun.
Cindy's place in Rome?
That's right.
Yeah.
What was that?
Hit up Cindy's place in Rome.
Oh, that's right. I
Yeah.
forgot about that. Yeah.
Free lodging.
Yeah. Benefit that she's always offering up for us. Definitely need to take advantage of that.
And if we could just get over there,
Right.
we'd all be on it, right?
It's not even so much getting it, it's just the time,
Yeah.
Just
Wow.
it's difficult to coordinate with, kids' school and, my work schedule, the wife's work schedule, and, a number of other obligations.
And the inability to buy tickets to Europe.
Yeah.
So that's also.
Is there still a limitation on it
I
in
hadn't
terms
checked. Is there really?
So I think so. Yeah.
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 Oh, wow. I did not know that. And
think-
that too, then, yes.
Yes. The physical getting there. Okay, so if you had to pick one song to be played when you entered a room forever, what would it be?
This may sound a little strange, and I can give you a little background if you want, but it would be Hallowed Be Thy Name by Iron Maiden.
Oh yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay. Okay.
So, I grew up, I kind of found metal, if you will, like when I was late high school. So Iron Maiden and pretty much any of the hair bands and Guns N' Roses and all of that. And I've actually kind of moved on, and oddly enough, I now listen to more extreme versions of that, but I still love those songs. And that was probably the one that, Iron Maiden is probably one of my favorite bands of all time. And that was the song that I heard that made me love them initially. And I still listen to them even to this day. And every time I hear that song, I have to turn it way up. And it's a lot of fun. It's got, everything you want in metal. Bruce Dickinson's a great singer. Adrian Smith on guitars is magnificent. And it's got this galloping kind of bass rhythm that goes throughout it all. And it tells a good story of a man who's on the gallows awaiting his final hours. So it's kind of cool. I just like it.
Definitely make an impact in the room, though, for sure. So that's a good.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
And
yeah.
plus, everybody around me hates it, and I like to, get under their skin. So,
Okay.
that's part of it, too. No, I'm just
I
kidding.
know. And a plus. Okay. Okay.
We're gonna use his answer, I think, as like, in my opinion, and that's like that should be the answer for like everybody should aspire to give for when we ask them like what song's gonna be their like
Okay.
walk-in song.
The heart, like a
Yeah,
middle.
the background and the depth and like
Ah,
the
that's true.
information behind it.
That's true.
We get a lot of people that are like, Fireworks by Katy Perry.
Oh,
Because
like, it's a small world. It's an earworm, and they wouldn't be able to get you out of their mind. Yeah.
give me that background. What's going on here? All right, so Joel mysteriously disappears tomorrow. You're CEO. What are you doing?
Let me see. One thing I would struggle to do is kind of maintain the culture, not to use that word too frequently, but it's important to him and it's important to everyone else in the organization. So doing what I could do to kind of at least maintain that as best I could in his vision, I would definitely try to I'd try to implement that in any way possible. I'm not exactly sure who that would be helping me do that or how I would go about it, but that would be the important thing. Second thing I would do would likely be I know the management at TVG has been talking for a long time about, productizing, shrink wrapping products. And I'd likely hire somebody full-time, like an MBA, to think about some products. Because certainly, consulting it can be lucrative, but ultimately, if you want to kind of scale and kind of make some income without basically having to hire additional bodies, having some intellectual property is definitely a way to do that. And I think the only way you're ever going to be able to do it is if you have somebody doing it full time.
Wait, aren't you an MBA?
Yeah, as a matter of fact,
Wait a minute.
but not necessarily full time. And by the way, I'm not making a distinction there. But yeah, I've talked to Mac a little bit about it. And we are looking into doing some product development, and I do know a lot about it, so I'm looking forward to it. But the challenge is, again, how do you kind of carve out the time in order to do it? And I haven't quite figured that one out yet, but certainly it's on the radar.
Good. Yeah, that's a good
Yep.
answer.
John, appreciate your time today.
Thanks.
Coming
this
out
is
here,
fun. I
hanging out
appreciate
with
you.
us. Yeah.
Appreciate you inviting me. This is
Our pleasure. Thanks for making it.
Thank you for joining us for another episode of the Leadership Talk Show. You can find out more about what we do at thevested.com. And if you want to see more episodes like this one, you can go to YouTube and you can search the Leadership or just the Vested Group. Thanks so much. Appreciate it. See you next time.